Mohammed stared out the rain-streaked window, the Cairo cityscape blurring into a canvas of gray and ochre. Grief hung heavy in the air, a suffocating shroud woven from loss and uncertainty. His father, a man who had always seemed larger than life, was gone. Mohammed was alone, adrift in a sea of sorrow with only the echoing silence of his childhood home for company. The house itself was a relic of a bygone era, a testament to his family's deep roots in the heart of Cairo. Built long before Mohammed was born, it stood as a silent sentinel to generations past. Its walls whispered tales of laughter and loss, of love found and dreams shattered. Now it seemed to echo the hollowness that had taken root in Mohammed's own heart. His grandfather, a renowned historian with a penchant for the arcane and unusual, had left behind more than just memories. There were books, stacks upon stacks of them, lining the walls of his study like ancient guardians of forgotten lore. Mohammed had always been drawn to that room, captivated by its musty scent and the weight of untold stories held within its depths. It was there, amongst the leather-bound volumes and yellowed manuscripts, that he sought solace. Each book was a portal to another time, another world. As Mohammed ran his fingers over their spines, he felt a connection to something larger than himself, a sense of belonging that transcended the boundaries of grief. Little did he know that his grandfather's legacy held more than just stories. It held secrets, long buried and waiting to be unearthed. Secrets that would change Mohammed's life forever. Days turned into weeks, each one a painful reminder of the void left by his father's passing. Mohammed found himself drawn to his grandfather's study more and more often, seeking refuge in the comforting presence of the past. One evening, while sorting through a stack of old maps and astrological charts, he noticed something peculiar. A section of the wall, concealed behind a tapestry depicting ancient Egypt, felt strangely uneven. Curiosity piqued, Mohammed carefully removed the tapestry, his pulse quickening with anticipation. Behind it, he discovered a small, intricately carved wooden door, barely noticeable against the dark wood paneling. It looked ancient, its surface weathered with time and neglect. A shiver ran down his spine as he reached out to touch it, the cool wood sending a tremor through his hand. The door creaked open with a groan, revealing a narrow passageway shrouded in darkness. Musty air wafted from within, carrying the scent of aged paper and something else, something indefinable that sent a prickle of unease across Mohammed's skin. He hesitated for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest, before taking a deep breath and stepping inside. The passage, barely wide enough for him to pass through, led to a spiral staircase that descended into the bowels of the house. The air grew cooler, damper, as he made his way down, each step accompanied by the soft crunch of dust beneath his feet. A sense of foreboding settled upon him, heavy and suffocating, yet still, he pressed on, drawn by an irresistible force towards the unknown. The staircase ended abruptly at a heavy, iron-wrought door. Its cold metal was etched with strange symbols that seemed to writhe and shift in the flickering light of Mohammed's lantern. He traced their contours with his fingers, a sense of awe washing over him. They felt ancient, powerful, like something out of a forgotten myth. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The sight that greeted him stole his breath away. Before him lay a vast library, its towering shelves reaching towards the vaulted ceiling far above. Thousands upon thousands of books lined the walls, their leather spines gleaming softly in the warm glow of countless lanterns suspended from the ceiling. The air was thick with the smell of aged paper and leather, a scent both intoxicating and strangely comforting. It was a bibliophile's paradise, a treasure trove of knowledge hidden away from the world. Mohammed ran his fingers along the spines of the books, his heart pounding with excitement. There were volumes bound in leather, velvet, even human skin, ancient texts written in languages he couldn't even begin to decipher. He had stumbled upon a secret that had been buried for centuries, a hidden library frozen in time. As he delved deeper into the library, he realized that it was more than just a collection of books. It was a sanctuary, a place where the echoes of the past whispered through the ages. He could almost feel the presence of his grandfather, his love for knowledge and history permeating every inch of this hidden world. But there was something else here too, a sense of watchful eyes and secrets waiting to be unveiled. The library became Mohammed's refuge, his sanctuary from the grief that haunted his waking hours. He spent countless nights lost in its depths, poring over ancient texts and deciphering cryptic scrolls. He learned of forgotten civilizations, of powerful magic, and of creatures that lurked in the shadows. The line between reality and fantasy blurred, each page he turned revealing secrets that had been hidden for centuries. One day, while examining a particularly old grimoire, he came across a passage that made his blood run cold. It spoke of a hidden chamber, located beneath the library, where his ancestors had performed rituals to appease ancient beings. The book hinted at terrible powers, of sacrifices made and bargains struck. Muhammad felt a shiver run down his spine as he read on, his heart pounding in his chest. Driven by a mixture of curiosity and trepidation, he began searching for any indication of the hidden chamber. He studied the library's layout, looking for any inconsistencies, any signs that there might be more to this place than met the eye. He found nothing. Days turned into weeks, and still the secret remained elusive. Just when his hope began to dwindle, he noticed something peculiar about one of the bookshelves. The shelf, unlike the others, was slightly ajar. As he approached, he felt a cold draft emanating from the gap, carrying with it the faint scent of decay. Hesitantly, he reached out and pushed the shelf open. It swung inwards, revealing a dark, narrow staircase that descended into the earth below. The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of centuries, and the promise of something sinister. Armed with nothing but a flickering lantern and a growing sense of dread, Muhammad descended into the darkness. The air grew colder, damper, with each step. The stench of decay intensified, assaulting his nostrils and making his stomach churn. He could hear the scurrying of rats and the dripping of water, each sound amplified in the oppressive silence. The staircase seemed to go on forever, twisting and turning into the bowels of the earth. Muhammad's mind raced with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last. What would he find at the end of this subterranean journey? A forgotten tomb? A chamber of horrors? The answer, he feared, would be far more terrifying than anything he could imagine. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the staircase ended at a heavy, iron-bound door. The air here was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something ancient and evil. Muhammad hesitated for a moment, his hand trembling as he reached for the handle. He could turn back now, pretend he had never found this place. But something, perhaps the same insatiable curiosity that had driven his grandfather, compelled him to go on. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The hinges groaned in protest as if warning him to turn back. The chamber beyond was plunged in darkness, the air thick with the smell of decay and the weight of centuries. As his eyes adjusted to the gloom, he made out the outline of an altar in the center of the room, its surface stained with what appeared to be dried blood, and then he heard it. A whisper, faint and raspy, like the rustling of dead leaves. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing around him in the darkness. The whisper grew louder, coalescing into a name that sent a shiver down Muhammad's spine. It was his grandfather's name, spoken with a reverence that bordered on worship. Terror gripped his heart, cold and unrelenting. What had his grandfather gotten involved in? What dark secrets had he uncovered in his pursuit of knowledge? Suddenly, the lantern in Muhammad's hand flickered and died, plunging him into absolute darkness. He cried out, his voice swallowed by the oppressive silence. Panic welled up inside him, threatening to consume him. He stumbled back, his hands outstretched, groping for something, anything to steady himself. His fingers brushed against something cold and hard. He fumbled for his lighter, his heart pounding in his chest. As the flame sputtered to life, it illuminated a stone wall covered in intricate carvings. They depicted grotesque figures, twisted and contorted in unnatural positions. They seemed to writhe and pulsate in the flickering light, their eyes burning into his very soul. And then he saw it, a single word, etched into the stone above the altar: awakening. The implications of that single word hit Muhammad with the force of a physical blow. Was this some sort of ritual chamber designed to awaken something ancient and evil? Had his grandfather been trying to control this power or unleash it upon the world? And what role did Muhammad play in all of this? As he stood there, surrounded by the weight of his family's legacy and the chilling truth of his grandfather's secret life, Muhammad knew that his life would never be the same again. He had stumbled upon a darkness that threatened to consume him, a darkness that had been waiting for him all along.